Hello, my name is Vasanta and welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is dedicated to the power of Vedic Astrology and helping you make better choices in your life. So through Vedic Astrology, we know the cycles of the planets, and this can help us predict and prepare for what's upcoming in the year. Today, together with my team, we've put together this document so that you can be ready for the year of 2023. The good news is the cycle of 2023 is coming in with renewed energy and with much better and less challenging planetary configurations than the last 3 years that we've been having, which have been extremely challenging for the entire of humanity and also in a personal level. As an introduction, I would like to speak of the major transits in the year, which is we take the planets Saturn, Jupiter, and the transits of the nodes of the moon Rahu and Ketu as the basis for predicting how the year is going to come up. Plus, the annual solar eclipse, where it happens, it also impacts greatly, the quality of the year. In a broad sense, the year is going to be a year of wisdom, where we are called to appreciate what we do have in life. It's been years where we have had to slow down and actually look at the circumstances of our life, to take responsibility for the basics. We've had to be very pragmatic over the last few years. There's of course a lot of growth that has happened to us during these years, but it's been very challenging. So 2023 is a year that is going to be full of new opportunities and new horizons, opening up when Saturn moves into Aquarius. So that starts early on in the year on January the 17th. For the past 3 years and a little more, Saturn has gone in and out of Capricorn, and it's been retrograde a few times. So that's been an extremely challenging but very productive transit. So now as Saturn goes into its Mula Trikona sign of Aquarius, its own sign, it hails the opening of new technologies and new ways of dealing economically. But mostly what you're going to see is advancements in the area of electricity, of technology, of communications. So 3 things you can expect. You can expect cryptocurrency to take a more prominent stage in life. You can expect that also virtual reality is going to be growing, and cheaper ways of conducting our energetic uses is going to come up. So probably nuclear fusion is going to be everywhere. So we're going to start seeing an improvement in those areas. And of course, cheaper economy, ecology, and humanitarian causes are also going to be really strong. So that 2.5-year cycle starts on January the 17th. I'm going to be analyzing how it affects every one of the signs, and I will also have a video specifically dedicated to the transit of Saturn Aquarius, which is a very important event astrologically because it lasts for a long time. So here you have the details. I've written them down for you. On January 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius. Slowly but surely it'll kick in. Then on the 17th, it'll go retrograde. So, by then you'll start seeing how we're going to be questioning, how the world is shaping up. I think very, very, very quick changes generationally are going to happen with this transit. And then again on the 4th of November, towards the end of the year, Saturn's going to be going direct. Planet Jupiter, which is the benefic planet, and brings all the goodness in the zodiac, has been in Pisces now for some time, for about a year. We go into the year with Jupiter in Pisces, which is making us have a lot of grace from the planet. Now it's gone direct, but on the 21st of April, Jupiter is starting a new path on the zodiac. So at the moment it is closing a path, and the lesson is spirituality, and the lesson is also kindness and compassion, which are the qualities of Pisces. For all of you that know anything about Lord Jesus Christ, his teachings are very in tune with what Pisces represents. And now we're going into Aries, so it's going to be expansive and youthful It's almost like a new beginning, you know. Like I always like to say that great movies go in trilogies. So it's almost going to be like the end of one movie, and then it's going to be the beginning of another movie. And second parts are, of course, interesting because the characters develop. So we're going to be having that. However, you know, the position of Jupiter is kind of complicated. From the 19th to the 14th of June, we have what we call the Guru Chandal Yoga, which is planet Jupiter and Rahu are going to be exactly conjunct in Aries. So there's going to be a lot of burst of wanting to do one's own projects and, like a lot of obsession to start something new and go forward from that. And then on September 4th, planet Jupiter goes retrograde in Aries, and Mercury is going to be retrograde at that time as well. So you can expect a bit of a hasty period there. I have a timeline coming up, so we'll be going through it. Rahu is going on the 16th of August into Gandanta. So at the moment, Rahu is in Aries, and it's going to retrograde into Pisces. Remember the notes of the moon retrograde. And also Ketu is going to be retrograding into Virgo. At the moment, Ketu is in Libra. So that hails the beginning again of a whole new set of challenges for humanity. Whereas right now we're trying to understand, an impulse for independence and personal projects and courage to undertake what we believe in, investment in one's person, right, and personal boundaries. When Rahu goes into Pisces, it's going to be the challenge for humanity to take a more spiritual approach and also give a lot of kindness and compassion. So we're going to from objective reality to deep subjective spiritual reality. So that is going to bring a lot of dreams into the stage. I think it has to do a lot with the emergence of virtual reality as a technology. So I think the moment that Apple unveils these very popular headsets that they're going to come out with, a world of illusion is going to open up. So there's a lot of moral questions that are going to be open then. But of course, the impulse of planet Rahu is to obsess humanity with it, as to introduce it. So we do have the movement of all the major planets happening this year. But again, we do have them with a bit more balance than in the past few years. So it's a less challenging year. I think it's going to be a positive year and a year for advancement in humanity and relief in many senses. But it's a year of evolution, definitely. And then finally, we have the sun having its annual solar eclipse. This year it happens in Libra while the sun is debilitated in the constellation of Chitra. So probably, what's going to happen then is you're going to be double guessing your self-worth and your value, your creative ability. Because when the sun goes to Libra and is debilitated, it's always a pretty challenging, transit. In India, what they do is we celebrate the month of Kartik. So that is, as the sun is in Libra debilitated, no material activities are done, only spiritual ones. And that really helps, not to mess up in life, etc. So you can have it in consideration. Of course, this is a projection for the entire year. And it is in a nutshell what is going to be happening. So in the next segment of the video, I'm going to be going one by one what is going to be happening with a more accurate timeline. But you can be confident that you have in a nutshell what is going to be happening during the year as a menu. So as a recap, there's a boom in technology. There is the moral questions of what are we going to do with so much technology, how we're going to organize ourselves regarding cryptocurrencies, the emergence of AI, and the metaverse. So all of that is going to be in play. And also new healing technologies are going to be there. So that is the prediction. That is what Saturn is bringing into the play. Then Jupiter is going to be bringing new horizons, new jobs, so very quick adaptability. I think the world in the next 5 years is going to be changing incredibly rapidly. So that cycle starts right now. So with what you have learned from the past 3 years in learning how to hold yourself back and be responsible for your actions, Now we're going, head on and super fast into the future. And then finally, Rahu in Pisces, which is asking us to really, go within ourselves and ask ourselves, what is real and what is essential. I would say the key word is what is essential. So that is what we're going to be working on in the year. I hope this helps you. And now we're going to go into the complete timeline. So here we have an overview of how the year is coming up on the month of January. We have the fact that Mars is going direct. So that is greatly going to impact, the decision of the war in Ukraine. So as long as Mars is in Taurus, this war is for land is going to be going on. My prediction is as soon as Mars is out of there, it's going to be more a communications war rather than, a war for land, because Taurus can be very stubborn. It can be very materialistic. So as long as Mars is there, we're going to be having, no conclusion to the conflict. But as long as it moves forward, which it does early in January, we're going to be seeing a change. And also remember that Saturn is moving on the 17th. It goes to Aquarius. So that is also, Saturn is at the moment in an earth sign, so very stubborn government policy. As soon as it goes into Aquarius, you will see it go immediately humanitarian. So economy is going to play a role. So I expect, the conflict in Ukraine, something is going to move there early January to start moving that forward to resolution. Then on the 15th, we have the Makara Sankranti. So that is, of course, the start of the new cycle. And that is the good news, because in India, this is the beginning of proper spring. So it is the harvest season, and it is said that is when the male energy rises and all the creativity starts rising in the planet. So, the winter is, that yin energy of the winter is over. So the period of rest and reflection is over, and the period of production starts again. And on the 18th, Mercury goes direct into Sagittarius. So it is a pretty eventful month, January, but it gives us a good start for the year. Then on February, of course, during the year we'll be going into depth, but it's Venus is going to be exalted in Pisces, and it joins Jupiter. So that is very good news for the world. So probably there's going to be so much grace during that month, and a lot of happiness. It's going to be really lovely. It's going to be a lovely, lovely time in the world. So those few weeks where this happens, prepare for a lot of mercy and a lot of grace. Then on March, we have on the 13th, after 5 months of being in Taurus, which is one of the longest transits I've ever seen Mars do, Mars finally goes into Gemini. Mars is not so comfortable in Gemini, but at least it's out of Taurus. And which, there is conflict, but at least Mars in Gemini, it's going to be more press than physical battle. So, probably there's going to be a lot of, misinformation, this and that. The positive thing is that, during this transit, Mercury is going to be fine. Then, and of course, when the planet is forward moving, then the energies keep flowing. So then on the 14th, we have that Saturn enters Shatabhishak constellation, and it'll be staying there for a good 8 months. So remember, Shatabhishak is the constellation of healing. And this is where the world is going to be starting to have, this upward cycle that we're talking about. So healing in the energetic sense, healing in the economical sense, healing in technological, advancement in economy. Everything is going to happen then. And also very big breakthroughs in when it comes to healing the body as well, and spirituality as well. So there's a lot of maturity in the cycle early on in the year. So it's coming as a year of great happiness, I think. So then on April, from the 19th to the 26th, we have Jupiter in Gandanta, which is probably one of the challenging aspects that we're going to be having in this year. Remember, when a planet goes in Gandanta, all the trapped emotions rise up. Jupiter being a benefic, it'll heal it in a very beautiful way. and then it moves forward. So a Gandanta is the transition between a water sign and a fire sign. So in this case, the water sign is Pisces, and Jupiter is going into Aries. Then we have the solar eclipse on the 20th. So, solar eclipse is 1 week before, 1 week after is usually a time to watch out for. On the 21st, Jupiter goes into Aries, and that, of course, is a great event because it's so much positive energy. So you're going to be feeling expansive. You're going to be feeling like communicating. The Lord of Aries being Mars. Mars is at that time is going to be Gemini transiting to Cancer. So it's all good. It's a properly positive transit. Then it goes into Leo. So at that time, there's going to be a lot of good energy for creativity and new projects and economy. So there's a lot of positivity in the air and balance in the malefics. Then Jupiter and Rahu conjunct in Aries. So that is the point of real concern during the year. I think if anything, that is what we have to watch out for. So April and May look eventful to me. The core of the year after that has passed, we're going to have a very good free flow. In May, we have the shadow lunar eclipse. So again, a week before and a week before and a week after the eclipse, we must be careful with our choices, with our emotions, with signing contracts. So be very careful then. Then on the 10th, Mars goes into its debilitation in Cancer. So that is affecting that Jupiter in Aries. So you might be feeling that, very competitive then and wanting to prove yourself. So remember everything with patience. Mars tends to be a little bit impatient. And when it's in Cancer, it gets very emotional if it's challenged. So remember that the key during this month is patience. Then on the 15th, Mercury goes direct into Aries. So that'll come into the communications of what has, frustrations and plans for the future. And then finally, we do have the conjunction of Jupiter and Rahu in Aries. So there's a lot of potential energy. I think the youth is going to be wanting to jump into new technologies. The people that are in the middle of the road, we're going to want to catch up. So it seems to me like a catching up type of situation. I think AI is going to be moving super fast during that time. So we might see the event of AI coming into play and humanity trying to adapt to it and to catch up to it. A lot of what we know is going to become obsolete during this year. A lot of the activities that normal human beings do. Then in June, we have the retrograde of Saturn in Aquarius. So here is where we're asking ourselves in a global way, what have we done with our power, with our technology, with our science? Legislation talks about how we're going to do that or going to begin. So there's a lot of legislation in an international level. And a lot of education, adaptation that has to be done to heal the planet. But what is positive about this retrograde is that I think climate change and climate control is going to come back into play because I think we're finally going to have an alternative means of technology instead of these, organic fuels that we're using. So I think it's going to be more fusion, nuclear fusion, that is going to start to proliferate, which will cheapen the cost. Along with that, AI is getting very powerful. So it's a year of a lot of solutions. Of course, it's the beginning and we have to regulate. Then we go forward to July, and that is the retrograde of Venus and Leo. It's not really that eventful, but, always have in mind that retrogrades are challenging times. So, during that time, I think a desire for significance and recognition for what we have done for others might come into play. Then after that, we go into August. Rahu is in Gandanta, so extremely difficult time. And on the 23rd, there's the retrograde of Mercury in Leo. So when Rahu goes in Gandanta, be very careful because it's a time of obsession. It's, like they always say, think before you act. So this is a time where you're emotionally very involved with your obsessions and you'll be unlikely to listen. What areas of your chart is going to affect we will explore it together. Then we have in September, Rahu continues in Gandanta. Actually, Rahu is going to be in Gandanta for a while, so it's going to be a very challenging time as Rahu goes out of Aries into Pisces. So I think the question there is going to be between what one wants to do and what fulfills oneself, and then having mindfulness of the impact that those actions could hurt or undermine or actually produce a negative result in others. So it's not just only one's personal success, right? It is what our actions do. And sometimes, hastily action, we must let it go because we can understand it might produce some pain. So, during that time, we're going to be going through that. On the 4th, we have the retrograde of Jupiter in Aries, so that complicates things a little more. So September looks complicated to me. And on the 4th, finally, Venus goes direct in Cancer, so some compassion may come in. But September looks challenging. Then October, gladly, Mercury goes into exaltation into Virgo. On the 17th, we have the annular solar eclipse. And the 28th, we have the partial lunar eclipse. So we have 2 eclipses during that time. It is challenging, especially because it happens in Libra. So there is, definitely the challenge of the time comes. So for that month, what I recommend is try to be in spiritual consciousness. Try to go more to your temple, to your yoga center, chant the mantras, and you should be fine. On the 30th, finally, of October, Rahu goes back directly into Pisces and Ketu goes into Virgo. So, gladly by then we have the shift. Of course, these shifts are slow, but you will definitely feel the change in energy. Again, it's Gandanta. So we have Gandanta almost to the end of the year, even though the planet has crossed over into the water sign. So overall, a more emotional time, and we are going to be wondering what we're going to do, because the world as we know it is going to change a lot during this year, especially by those times, by those dates. Then in November, Venus goes into the debilitation in Virgo and joins Ketu. So here a lot of aspects regarding feminism, regarding masculinity, regarding our roles and what roles we play in society. All of these questions are going to be there. Taking a very pragmatic point of view, very by the book, versus using the heart and compassion. So there's what the manual says, what the rules say, what the law says, and then there is, human compassion. That is why in many of the law systems of the world, we don't just act on the law, right? We can go to a judge and appeal, and then, the judge in good wisdom and in good heart and with humanity will decide which one has to be done. So sometimes the judge acts on the basis of compassion and pardons, after listening to the witnesses and the jury. The judge has to make a decision. So that element is always there. I think we're going to be going through a lot of that then. Then on the 4th, Saturn goes direct in Aquarius once again. So again, the proliferation, the questions are over and the deliberation is over. And of course, the advancement keeps going on. So by then, we'll have a sense of how we're going to regulate ourselves regarding the metaverse, the cryptocurrencies, the new technologies, the new energetic technologies, and the rise of proper AI, or a very powerful AI. We're going to see it all. And then on December, we have the retrograde of Mercury in Sagittarius. So that gives in for, introspection, I think, rather than extroversion. And then finally, on the 31st of December, to wrap up the year, Jupiter makes us the great favor and grace of going direct into Aries. So from then on, it's going to be prosperity for the planet Jupiter. So overall, the year is coming in with the question, what is it to be wise? One thing is to have knowledge, and the other thing is to have wisdom. And usually where we can find wisdom is in the elders, because they've experienced life. They've gone through ups and downs and many springs and many winters. So they know that, major changes happen, but some things change and some things don't. And at the core and at the essence of what binds us as human beings is, very basic truths and very essential truths. So I think it's going to be a year where we're really going to be checking philosophy, ethics, and morals. So this is how the year is coming up. Definitely, a brand new chapter for humanity, and it opens up with so many gifts, but the responsibility over wielding those gifts. So a little bit, it reminds me of the metaphor of Thor and his hammer. The hammer has a spell on it. Odin puts a spell on it that says that only somebody worthy can wield it. So, my prayer for humanity is that, we may take the power to wield lightning, which is what the year looks like. But, it cannot be on a hothead. I think that hammer can only be lifted by those who are worthy. And the question for humanity is, are we worthy? So there's a lot of power in the year, like there's power in Thor's hammer. There's a lot of power in the year. So, hopefully our leaders and those wise people in our society will help us, to understand the responsibility of wielding this new energy and this new chapter in our life.